All righty. Thank everyone for joining. I do appreciate your time, and did want to give a brief introduction. My name is Tim Fulton, and I am going to be going over resume tips today, and just to kind of brief you on Unified Achievement Group. But we are a recruiting agency that partners with local firms to unify with great talent with great opportunities. So we essentially we are matchmakers. So we match great talent with great companies, and we do a lot of our work locally. So if you are looking for great candidates, great talent, we will help save you time, money, and help reduce your turnover. And if you are a job seeker, we do provide interview, resume, and career tips to help you develop your career. So definitely take advantage. Feel free to reach out or book any consultations with us. As far as today's topics, we will be covering what is a resume, as well as resume writing tips to help you get started. So we are going to show you how you can stand out from the competition when it comes to resumes, so you can get that interview and ultimately get that job. All right, so just a few webinar rules for those who are on Google Meets. Please make sure your mics are on mute. Any questions you have, feel free to type in the chat box or the comment section. And if you are part of the Career Development Resource Center, then please email us or drop your email so we can send you a copy of your certificate of completion. All right. And again, my name is Tim Fulton. I am the president of Unified Achievement Group, and I head agency operations, as well as work with admin, recruiting, and sales teams to help work on our company goals, as well as strategies day to day and any new rollouts. The most important part, which I love, is changing lives. So we definitely are here to make sure we're changing lives. So definitely take good advantage of the platform, because we're here to make sure we're giving back to our team members who are the backbone of the company. So this is to help you all out. All righty. So anyone can express interest in a job opening, but that doesn't mean that that candidate may have the skills or experience the hiring manager is looking for. And a resume helps an employer determine if an applicant's qualified for a position, either through your educational history or work experience, or a combination of the two. So you can highlight volunteer work and or internships on your resume if it will show why you will be a great fit for the position you're looking for. So for starters here, what exactly is a resume? I'm sure all of you have heard of it. You've all probably put one together, but we are going to go over it because we are here to help out. A resume is a document that showcases a candidate's qualifications for a job, and it often includes their education, experience, skills, and achievements. You want to be sure your resumes are to the point, as your resume acts as your social media profile for hiring managers. So when a stranger sends you a friend request or comments on a group post, you may skim through their profile to learn a little bit more about them. And if they seem like, they're a pretty cool person, you may decide to go ahead, accept the request, or reach out. On the other hand, if you see some inappropriate content or some posts that you really don't jive with, it may cause you to hit ignore or decline their offer. And the same kind of goes in the business world. The hiring manager will glance at your resume rather quickly before they're deciding if you're worthy of an interview. So any red flags like typos, profanity could actually keep you from landing an interview, even if you're qualified for that particular job. So let's go ahead and get on into it. Here's going to be some tips to help you write a standout resume. That way you can kind of separate yourself from the competition. But for tip number one, you want to list your contact information at the top. I know that seems pretty elementary, but you'd be surprised at some of the resumes where I've seen no contact information, or their name and how to get a hold of them is at the bottom, or it's kind of been meshed in the middle because of formatting. So you want to make sure your identity is obvious to recruiters by including your contact information at the top. Start with your name, then provide a phone number, email address, and mailing address. You may also want to include a link to your website if it's a professional one, or LinkedIn profile. Consider using slightly different font for your name so that that stands out. Make sure it's larger or in a slightly different but professional font. And also you want to make sure everything is black ink. It should be black and white. Tip number two, you want to include your objective. It's important to highlight your objective first because most hiring managers don't spend more than 30 seconds reviewing your resume altogether. So you want to make sure you grab their attention by creating a standout objective to kick off your resume. Your objective should highlight your education, skills, and or qualifications. And an example of an objective statement would kind of look like listing your skills at the top of your resume, or just providing a brief statement, letting them know what you're there to do, which is be a benefit to their company. And I'll show you what it should look like upon the end of the course. So tip number three, of course, you want to list your work experience, your work background. All right. Now, highlighting relevant work experience shows the hiring manager that you have the skills needed to get the job done. And there are several ways that you can list your work experience on your resume. List all jobs in chronological order, meaning you want to begin with the current or most recent position and then work backwards from there. Be sure to only list relevant jobs, such as jobs involving machine operating or material handling, if you're applying for a position such as a warehouse associate or assembly line. Mentioning volunteer work and internships in the same format you would for an employment history, if it is going to be like your first job. So if you're straight out of college, or let's say you've only had maybe part-time cutting grass here and there, if you've done volunteer work or internships in college, list that in the same format as you would job experience. Now, it is common to list all of your jobs on your resume using chronological format. However, it's not ideal if you have numerous gaps in your work history, even if the gaps were due to, unexpected circumstances like illness. So you want to try to limit your work history to about the past 10 or 15 years. It wouldn't be necessary to mention that you bagged groceries or, you were a cook for a year in high school unless, you're a recent graduate. So, if you're 12 plus years and your workforce, no need to mention things from, high school if it's not relevant to your job. So you definitely want to make sure you're focusing on relevant work experience on your resume, and that'll show a more stable work history, because at the end of the day, that's what all hiring managers are looking for, because they want to ensure you are invested long term. So they want to see that stability on your resume. You may truly be a jack of all trades, but a hiring manager may deem you unstable or fear you may leave for a different industry if you're listing a lot of jobs not related, or any jobs not related to that industry. And lastly, you want to make sure you don't forget to mention any achievements that you can back up with data. So you make sure you can quantify it. Mention if you've improved customer retention by 25% or decreased customer complaints by 10%. And make sure, you highlight any achievements such as employee of the year, employee of the week, month, or so forth. All right, tip number four, be sure to list your educational background, because many job postings are requiring some form of education, even if it is a GED or a high school diploma. So you want to make sure you list all of your relevant education on your resume, from bachelor's degree you received 10 years ago to special certifications you earned during summer break. Employers prefer candidates with some type of formal training, certification, or license even if you don't have a college degree. So if you do have certain licenses that will help you, like say it's a warehouse position and you have a forklift certification, you want to make sure you mention that and when you got it and where you got it from. Um, that will be important because it shows that you are experienced and licensed to do that job. You should also mention any internships or volunteer work if you haven't had much work experience where you got licenses. You can show that maybe you did trainings in an internship while you were in college working interns. So you just want to make sure when you list your education history, be sure to list your highest level of degree obtained first, such as master's or doctorate degree. Follow this up with degrees or certifications that are working backwards, just like with the work history. Even if you haven't completed the program yet, you'll still want to list that you are in pursuit of that degree. So, for example, you can say you're currently pursuing a master's degree in human resources if you already have a bachelor's degree in marketing. Then you want to list your marketing or master's degree first, even though it isn't completed. It'll also be helpful to mention any special awards or special honors you received, such as 4.0 in your GPA. You want to list that on your resume. You should leave it off if it may reveal, that it's a much lower GPA. But any honors, dean's list, or 4.0 or higher on your GPA, you want to make sure you do, provide that and list that on your educational background as well. Tip number 5, you want to ensure you are selling your key skills. After all, a resume is a snapshot of your skills. That way you can get called in for an interview to demonstrate what you know. So you want to be sure you include a combination of your hard skills and soft skills on your resume. Hard skills are specific programs or duties, such as being able to use Microsoft Office, or you're able to self-generate sales leads. And I'm sure that'll help some of those out there that are in sales and here for sales. Soft skills would include career skills and personal traits, such as being team oriented or having an outgoing personality. So you want to highlight the skills that match what the company is exactly looking for. If the company job posting states they want someone who can adhere to their attendance policy, mention that you're dependable or that you're punctual. If you're applying for a customer service position, don't mention that you're forklift certified. Instead, say that you have strong customer service skills or enjoy working in a fast-paced environment. Be honest on your job skills, especially when you're listing the hard skills. Your potential employer will find out, as many companies test applicants prior to offer them the job offer. So they'll quickly notice that you're not able to actually create a spreadsheet, or that you're not able to use Slack to set up or schedule meetings. They'll be aware. They'll bring you aside and start asking you. So it's just best to be honest about it up front. That way you're not wasting your time and you're not wasting theirs. All right. So briefly, I do want to go over some common mistakes that are made on the resume so we can kind of, be on the lookout for that and try to avoid it. You want to be sure not to include your date of birth or social security number on your resume. You should also avoid sending a headshot unless it's specifically requested by the potential employer. So I know it may look pretty and be fancy, but you want to try to stay away from putting your headshot on there. And just as best practice, as you know me having a number of years, you want to eliminate prejudging, and you want them to only be able to see your skills and your work history. So that way no one's just calling you in just based on how you look, or not calling you in based on how you look. So you also want to avoid using nicknames and make sure your email address is professional. Recruiters or hiring managers may reject your application if you use an email like sugarmamaatl@email.com. Even if you would otherwise have been contacted for that interview, you want to make sure that small details like that do not get in your way. Potential employers want to ensure you are able to keep your professional life separate from your personal life. We are all realistic people. We know you have a personal life, but this is about professionalism. So you want to make sure you have a separate professional email for any of your jobs that you're going to be applying to, any contact you want from employers. Make sure you do have a professional one that you have separate. All right. And just to recap, to ensure you do have a standout resume, you want to keep these tips in mind. Number one, list your contact information at the top. Two, you want to provide an objective statement or a section going over your skills. Three, you want to sell your work experience. Be sure to highlight any accomplishments in that section. Remember, quantify them. Ensure if it's an award, you list that. If you saved or reduced, customer retention, list that. Four, you want to list your educational background. So if you're in pursuit of your master's or a graduate degree, list that and the year you expect to complete it. And from there, work your way backwards, go over your bachelor's, then high school or training degrees if you have those there. That's the order you'll want. And then five, and lastly, you want to list your key skills, the key skills here. Make sure they're relevant to the job you're applying to. So try not, and not even try, do not put any skills that are non-relevant. That's just a quick way to get your resume junked. And I mean, you want to make sure you have a fair shot, and you also want to make sure you're able to separate yourself from others. And last but not least, you definitely want to make sure you proofread your resume prior to applying. Be sure to proofread your resume prior to applying, because one typo could result in a rejection letter. Have a friend, family member provide a second set of eyes over your resume to ensure your information is accurate. Triple check your contact information to ensure it's your most up-to-date methods of contact. You don't have an old email, that you don't still use, or old phone number, because that's what they'll be, reaching out to you on. So if you've recently moved or you think you will be, ensure you have the correct postal address and the correct phone number. Now, here's a sample of what a standout resume should look like. So you do want to ensure that, of course, where it says confidential, that you have your name listed there. Then you want to put the address, city and state, your email, and a contact number. Right. And from there, you want to list any of your key qualifications that, will help you when it comes to landing the job. And after that, you want to go over your work experience. Now, there you can also, where it says key qualifications, just list an objective statement. Like, I'm here to be an asset to your company in the machine operating position. My goal is to become a permanent associate of yours. And I plan on doing that through coming in early, staying late, and volunteering for any extra assignments you have. And then go right on to your work experience. Again, if you haven't registered, which I know the ones on Google Meet have, then you don't have to worry about it. We will be emailing you out your certificate of completion for today's workshop. If not, you want to make sure in the comments or in the chat box, rather, you do drop your email address so we can email that out for you. And again, thank you all for attending today's course on how to create a standout resume. Looking for an all-in-one help guide for your career advancement? Well, look no further and subscribe to our content at unifiedachievement.com to gain unlimited access to our Career Center resource material. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share below.